Intergalactic assassins converge on a small town after two siblings unwittingly fuck.
Whoa! They unwittingly fuck.
Oh my god!
This is a whole nother movie.
Hello and welcome to The Unusual Suspects. My name is Andy. This is episode 51. With me we have Benny.
Woo! Hello! Ooh, that was exciting, wasn't it?
It was exciting. Yeah. We're not hanging around this week. We're getting straight into it. And a welcome return to friend of the podcast, the love of our lives. It's Brad.
Hey. How are we all doing?
That was very fucking James Hetfield over there. What's going on there?
Do you know what? I didn't even have time to think about an intro for it. Like, last time I thought out Howdy because I was going to think of a wind-up for Dan for Toy Story 4, but this time I was like, oh, hang on, right. I mean,
look, I'm not against the James Hetfield. It does lead us quite nicely into what has become a staple with our guests. It's us getting to know you and who you are, even though you've been on here before. That's not the name. We'll call it Who Are You? Insert a sound clip here. Who are you? Very good.
I thought you might finish it, but you didn't.
So, Brad, these are quickfire questions that we've done with everyone else. They're not scary, they're not exciting, they're just
a thing that we've done.
They're not even quick, because every time we ask people, they're like, oh, well, let me just ponder this for 60 seconds.
But yeah, but you're also asking people a very difficult question of what's their favourite movie, which is too hard, especially on the spot.
Cool. Brad, what's your favourite movie?
Hot Fuzz.
See? It's not that difficult.
2 Hot Fuzzes.
Straight out. Favourite actor?
It's going to be a cop-out and say I probably don't have one.
Okay. This one is going to be difficult. Favourite band?
Iron Maiden. No question.
Interesting. Favourite colour?
Blue.
Ooh.
Favourite word?
Omni-shambles.
It's a good one.
Does
these
that mean
might
lots
be the
of
best.
shambles?
Yeah, that is
what
us.
Does it mean?
It's one episode of The Unusual Suspects is a shambles. Multiple is an omni-shambles.
Yeah.
An omni-shambles.
It's a reference from the thick of it. Something we'll probably, might get touched on a bit later on.
Favourite sandwich?
BLT.
A second for a bacon sandwich. Snatch or lock stock?
Ooh.
Come on, Brad.
I'm not Muhammad, Ahmad, Bruce Lee. You can't change fighters.
Snatch it is. Sorry, Pen. And finally, favourite host?
I plead the fifth, I believe is what they say in the US. No.
Well, a lot of people have gone for Dan.
Pick Andy, nobody else has.
A lot of people have gone for Dan, so that's probably your safest bet.
Yeah, let's go with Dan then. Please, he's not.
I can't believe no one's picked me. This is outrageous.
I miss you, Dan.
You were friends with Andy and Dan first.
Miss you, Dan.
So that's fine.
It's only fair.
Penny, what have you been up to this week? Oh, so hang on. Thanks for those lovely answers, Brad. I really appreciate it.
Have you got somewhere else to be? You're speeding through this shit. Yeah, you got things to do.
Me?
Just racing through this. I don't know what's going on. This week I watched a bunch of films in a segment that I'm now going to call Something Old, Something New, Something Remade, and Film from the Shoe.
Ooh.
Oh, that's very good.
I was really impressed with myself. It was good, right?
It wasn't bad.
So you'd enjoy it. I was proud of myself. So this week I watched The Old was Children of the Corn from 1984. Friend of the podcast, Chris, and I watched it on one of our movie nights. I'm assuming no one else has seen it.
Nope.
No. The only thing I know about Children of the Corn is maybe the band Korn.
My reference was literally just to do a Jonathan Davis impression and go, boing.
I mean, the two are not related. It's sweet corn on the cob rather than the K type of corn. It's based on the Stephen King short story from 1977, starring Linda Hamilton and Peter Horton. Got a couple of IMDb synopses for you guys because I couldn't be bothered to write my own. 2 lovers stumble across a small American town where local children have killed the adult population in a bizarre ritual.
Ooh.
Do you literally have no reference for this film at all?
Are you asking me?
Either of you.
No.
I mean, look, sometimes when I get bored, I'll look up movie plots, and I have done that with this film. And I'm fairly certain the other two as well, because it's a trilogy, isn't it?
Oh, you wish. Do you want to guess how many? This is from 1984, and we are now in 2021. How many Children of the Corn movies are there now?
17.
Ooh.
No? Close, bit lower.
I'll go for, I mean, obviously being in the 80s, there must have been a load of sequels by now, so I'm going to go with 7. It's always a number to go to, isn't it, when you're not sure?
11.
Oh.
So...
Okay, well, I've definitely read about the first 3.
Yeah.
I must have got bored after that.
Yeah, I didn't. The first 2 are the first 2. Apparently 3 to 7 went direct to video and have, according to Wikipedia, little to no continuity with the others.
Huh.
So that's always good. Number 8 was a TV remake that Sci-Fi did. Number 9 and 10 were direct to DVD. And number 11 is apparently the prequel to the first one. And that came out in October 2020.
So it's very much done the about a loop that a lot of horror movies franchises do. And it eventually gets to the point where, okay, now we're at the point where it's prequel time.
Yeah.
11 down the line.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was talking to Chris about it because he was, after we watched it, he was like, I'd quite like a prequel. And then I said, well, technically there is one, but it hasn't got the main kids in it. I mean, obviously the actors are older, but it's a prequel, but it's like a prequel before the stuff's happened. So it doesn't actually, not that we've seen it.
Okay.
But they're not related.
Does it have the same characters, or like has Linda Hamilton come back as an old person?
No, and the main kid in it is called Isaac, and his like henchman in the first one is called Malachi, and neither of them are in the prequel apparently. So I'm kind of interested to check it out. I kind of want to check out maybe the Sci-Fi remake and then maybe the prequel, because I don't really want to watch 10 more.
That's a lot.
But it was pretty good.
Do you reckon in the remake someone's going to be announced as a paedophile? A bit like Freddy Krueger, who is, of course, a paedophile.
He is not a paedophile. Nobody talks about that movie. I will cut you.
I mean, Andy isn't nobody, but... and he talks about it a lot.
Weirdly, I was talking to my mate's kid about it quite recently. He's a big horror fan.
Kid?
Yeah, he's about 15.
Oh, not just talking to your friend's kid about paedophiles.
He's a big horror fan. We were talking about all sorts of stuff. And he was saying that he really likes the fact that Freddy's now a paedophile.
Oh.
It gives him more character.
No.
Yeah.
Let's not do this right now. But yeah.
So
we can't. I could rant about this for hours, so we're not going to. So I'm not going to spoil it. Like, it was kind of, it's old, so it's dated, but it was kind of worth watching. Isaac is basically preacher kid and has decided or discovered some sort of creature out in the cornfields in the middle of this small American town, and he convinces all the other kids to murder everyone aged 19 and up in their small town to sacrifice them to the monster in the cornfields.
Huh.
So it's like a monster film. I thought it was like a cult, like a weird kids cult. I guess that's how it turns into. But like, if it's acting as a sacrifice to a monster, I didn't know that.
I mean, I don't want to say I've spoiled it now, because they do talk about, like, what do they call Isaac? He who walks behind the rows or something. Like, most of the way through, you do think it's just kind of like a weird religious-y thing. But then there is also, the kids have seen a thing in the cornfield, and that's what's made them murder everyone. And then they've been living in their town. I think I found out for 3 years later, and then Linda Hamilton and her other half stumble upon the town and all the shit that goes wrong.
Okay, because I'm sure I've seen, like, maybe as a cartoon series or something, I've seen reference a similar thing where maybe it's The Simpsons. I don't know, where it's the kids have taken over, and
I would assume so.
Then a couple have come through the town when the kids have taken over. It might have been South Park, actually. I'm sure there was a South Park episode that did that.
I feel like it's quite a bit of pop culture, especially as it was written by Stephen King. Apparently he wrote a screenplay or something originally that focused more on Linda Hamilton and her other half's character, but then someone else was like, no, let's focus on the kids and the murders, and obviously that is more interesting.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
The most interesting thing I found, that the main kid, Isaac, was supposed to be 12.
But?
And we know how actors will, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, how does he manage to look? I thought he was about 18. Like, I thought he was playing an 18-year-old. Malachi is 18. He's very short, but it wasn't until I looked it up today that he's supposed to be 12. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, how does he manage to look like a child and an old man at the same time? It's a very impressive face. He looks really old and really young at the same time.
Benjamin Button
He's got
magic.
quite a high voice. And he's quite creepy. He was actually played by a man called John Franklin, who was 25 at the time.
Christ.
Jesus.
And he actually had a growth deficiency because he's just under 5 foot. And that's why his voice is a bit squeakier. But he also played Cousin It in The Addams Family because he's so short. But I wondered why he was so good. I'm like, oh, because he's a fucking adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. If you're into kind of classic horror movies, would give that a watch.
He wants you too, Malachi. He wants you too.
These are all horror movies. I'm not surprising anyone, sorry.
Of course they are. I don't know why we're surprised.
It was my own time.
That's it.
The new movie that I watched was Psycho Goreman. 2020's Psycho Goreman.
Is that like Man Bear Pig, but Psycho Goreman?
Yeah.
Just 3 words
Kinda.
on a board, just picked out.
Yeah, just the name triggered me there. Immediately my head was in my hands.
There's so much hype around this lately. I've been waiting for it to come out. It's available on Shudder. What was the synopsis? Intergalactic assassins converge? Why can't I speak? Intergalactic assassins converge. Why have I done it wrong twice?
I don't know. Try again.
Fucking IMDb. Intergalactic assassins.
Do you want to tag one of us in? We can say the word converge.
Intergalactic assassins converge on a small town after 2 siblings unwittingly fuck.
Whoa!
No, you can't have unwittingly fuck. This
They
is getting
unwittingly
worse.
fuck.
Oh my god!
This is a whole nother movie.
Intergalactic assassins converge on a small town after 2 siblings unwittingly resurrect an ancient alien overlord.
Ooh.
This film was fucking great. It's about the 2 siblings, Mimi and Luke, and they're messing around in the garden.
Luke.
Yep. They're messing around in the garden and they accidentally dig up this big, terrifying monster dude.
I mean, accidentally dug up.
How can you accidentally dig up a big monster? Surely the second you see a bit of flesh, you're like, fuck that, we're moving.
They're playing this stupid ball game that they play, and whoever loses they're like, okay, I think it's, I can't remember what it's called.
Jumanji?
No, they play Crazy Ball. They've got a game they call Crazy Ball, and whoever loses, she's like, right, whoever loses gets buried alive. So Luke loses, and they start digging a hole, and while they find the hole, they find this big monster. They do the thing of they accidentally set him free, but nothing happens. They find a gem in the middle of, I guess, like the door of whatever that he's trapped in, and Mimi takes it. Nothing happens. They go to bed, and eventually they find out that he has been resurrected and he wants to kill everyone and everything throughout the entire universe.
Right.
I mean, classic Alien Overlord play, to be fair.
Yeah. The fun part of this movie is that he can't do that because whoever holds the gemstone gets to control the monster.
Ah.
Mimi has the gemstone, so she affectionately calls him Psycho Goreman, PG for short, and hilarity ensues. And he doesn't look convinced right now. I'm trying to not spoil it because it's great.
No. I had to do the spelling to work out why it was PG Man.
I mean, if he's called PG Man, what rating is the film out of interest? I mean, horror probably.
I assume it's an 18.
Yeah.
It's a PG Man.
Well, and they're like, his name's Psycho Goreman, PG for short. Mimi's played by...
I wonder if he's got any good tips.
Mimi's played by Nita Josie Hannah, and she is possibly the best part of this film. I don't know how old she is. She's the younger sister, I believe. I want to say like pre-teens. I want to say she's supposed to be like 12, 13, something like that. And she is an amazing asshole. She's awful. She's horrible to her brother. She doesn't take any shit from anyone. She's not doing what her parents say, but like in a good way. Sometimes she was a little bit too full on. You're like, all right now, fucking, you need to click round the ear, you need to calm down. But acting-wise, she was stunning. And it's a very campy B-movie sort of deal.
So the way you set her up there in terms of her character almost seems like, of the people you're introduced to, she seems like the worst person that might end up with this gem and in control of this creature because of the way she is.
For Psycho Goreman, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm gonna fucking, he doesn't say fucking, I don't think, but he's like, I'm gonna murder you and I'm gonna rip your skin off. And she's like, no, you're not, because I've got the gem. Now sit down and shut up. And he has to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've just Googled it. He looks like a Power Rangers villain.
Ah, well, that was my next thing. It is very Power Rangy.
Power Rangy.
Power Rangy. I've literally written a little Power Rangers-y.
You're having a real struggle with words today, aren't you?
I am. The budget was $670,000, but they only used about $50,000 of that on the monsters. There's more than one monster. But they are very Power Rangers-esque, but in a good way. Like, they look crappy, but good crappy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm having a look at it now.
Yeah,
like they could have
Mars
spent more
Attacks.
money. Yeah.
But it, like I say, when you compare it to the B movies, it gives off that effect. But yeah,
like
completely.
It's very fun. They haven't needed to use the whole budget on that. Like, they're not going for realism with that sort of stuff. The gore is pretty good, saying that. But yeah, there is a bit like, you know, like it says, intergalactic assassins come down. So they're all Power Rangers monsters kind of thing. So it does look a bit like a weird Power Rangers episode, but it's really fun. It's very quotable. I've seen it. Some of the t-shirt companies and stuff that I follow, like, are all over this shit. Like, stuff is everywhere. There's a rap at the end of over the credits. There is now a music video.
Oh, wow.
For Psycho Goreman's rap. It's just very, very campy, very fun. B movies. I don't know if they're trying to make Psycho Goreman into a bit of an icon. I don't know if there'll be any more, but he's definitely all over t-shirts and...
Yeah, just looking at one of the posters that came up and just the way that it's designed and the graphic, I can really imagine how that would look good on a t-shirt. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so don't know when it will be on anything else, but at the moment it is on Shudder. I would highly recommend that. That is fun.
He was a special effects makeup artist for a long time.
The guy that plays him?
No, the director, Steve Kostansky.
Yep.
But he's done some of your favourite things.
Oh, has he?
Including Todd and the Book of Pure Evil.
Yes!
But he also did Resident Evil Retribution, so...
Oh.
Swings and roundabouts.
But then he did do Hannibal's. Oh, God, I'm so conflicted.
Oh,
he also did It and Suicide Squad. I don't know how to feel.
Oh, that is tricky.
Oh, he did Leprechaun Returns. He's out.
I think I knew that one.
Anyways, Alistair, this is Psycho Goreman, or PG for short.
Silence.
Okay. We brought you some reading material, PG, and a TV to watch. Did you sleep okay? I'm sorry we didn't bring any pornos.
Petty displays of wealth. How can your short lifespans allow such narcissism?
Yeah, but look at all the hunky boys.
I do not care for hunky boys.
I was trying to think of a movie to watch, and then I came up with the stupid pun at the beginning. I was like, right, what's a remake or a reboot that I need to watch that I have been putting off? So I watched 2019's Child's Play. Starring Aubrey Plaza. Have we seen the original Child's Play? Do we have opinions?
I don't know if I've seen the original one. I've definitely seen the one with Jennifer Tilly and thought it was absolutely batshit.
That's the best one.
I'll make a confession. I have not seen any of the Child's Play movies. However, I have a lot of knowledge from watching a lot of... The name of the channel's escaped me, but there's a YouTube channel that covers a lot of horror films, and they do kill countdowns.
Nice, yeah.
I'll have to look it up in a bit, but yeah, they've covered the whole Child's Play sort of franchise up until the remake, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
So I've got an idea of the backstory.
Yeah. So I don't know how many there are at this point. We said Bride of Chucky is so 90s. Pretty sure it's in the hat. Sorry, not sorry.
Hasn't it got Dennis Rodman in it?
Is that Seed of Chucky?
Is it Dennis Rodman who's in it?
Dennis Rodman's not in the first. Jennifer Tilly, John Ritter, Alexis Arquette. I'm trying to think who else is in it. It's a very 90s horror movie, Bride of Chucky. It's great. It is my favourite. I have seen at least the original two. I've seen Seed of Chucky. The remakes have not been too bad. So Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky are continuations of the franchise.
Yeah.
And Chucky is played by Brad Dourif, who I love a lot. He has played him throughout all of these. But this 2019 version is, I'm guessing, is technically a reboot. Brad Dourif is not involved, which is one of the reasons I did not want to watch it. But Chucky is played by Mark Hamill, which is not.
I mean, no, Mark Hamill.
Don't fight me on this.
I'm not at all. If anything, I was going to fucking go into bat for Mark Hamill.
No.
I was going to say, as someone, I imagine Andy's in the same position as me, who's, I don't know if it's more you've watched a lot of the Batman animated series he's been in, but for me it's playing the Batman Arkham video games, and Hamill as the Joker in that
he is great.
Spectacular. So
yeah,
someone who maybe got pigeonholed into Star Wars maybe at some point in his career to completely...
Now he's bad, guys.
Yeah, reinvented himself as this guy who is great, especially in the voiceover roles.
Yeah.
He's great at it.
So I guess I think there's like maybe 5 Child's Play, maybe 4 or 5, and then there's Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and then there's maybe 7, 8, and Brad Dourif's been the voice all the way through, so him not being involved was kind of what put me off. And I'd also heard that they changed the origin story. So for those of you that don't know, originally in the Child's Play movies, they have this doll called a Good Guy doll, and they're all fucking creepy, but it's like a 3-foot, 4-foot size doll, and it's like an old Teddy Ruxpin. It will talk to you, and Brad Dourif plays a murderer. I think he's a serial killer, or he's a criminal, a serial killer, and he ends up in a shootout in a toy store, gets shot, and uses voodoo to put his soul into the body of one of these dolls, which is why he is a murderous doll called Chucky, because you put a serial killer that kills people into a doll, he still wants to kill people.
Yeah, totally.
In the new version, because they changed this again, this was why I was like, I'm not going to watch it. But I actually really loved this movie in the end. So they've properly rebooted it. They've gone not a completely different way. It's still a murderous doll, but they've embraced 20th century technology and AI. So he's called a buddy doll now. The only thing I will say is that I don't know whether they're trying to make the doll look scary on purpose. It looks awful. I don't know if you guys want to Google it. Like, no one would buy this doll. Originally, the doll in the first one is kind of cute, and then because he's put his soul into it, it obviously gets a personality and it looks different. This one looks the same all the way through, and no one would buy this for their children. I don't know whether they try to make it look creepy on purpose. It does kind of spoil it for me because it does kind of look silly. And part of me is like, Buddy is basically like an Alexa. So you've got an app on your phone. So you can be like, hey, Buddy, turn my lights on. Like, he's connected to all of your, let's say Google, all of your Google products. So he can do your light switches and he can change the TV and he can do all these things. So his mouth moves and he's just very creepy. Yeah,
like just compared, seeing the face and comparing them, they've almost aged the doll up a bit, it feels like.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something in the eyes and the way the cheekbones, the contours on his face, it like you say,
it's almost uncanny valley, isn't it? It's like it looks a little bit too lifelike at points and then less so others.
Yeah, and that's the big problem I had with it, was like, I was like, no one's buying this for their kids in a million years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to spoil it a little bit, I suppose. So if you do want to watch it, don't listen to this. But Aubrey Plaza plays Andy's mum, and she works in a toy store, and she gets one of these Buddy dolls returned. The woman's like, it doesn't really work properly, and its eyes went red and it was a bit weird. So she returns it. So Aubrey takes it home, gives it to Andy, and it doesn't work like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
The reason being is that they are made in an Asian country. At the beginning, you see some sort of sweatshoppy warehouse, and a boss is shouting at a man. There's no subtitles, unless I didn't turn them on, but there's no subtitles.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I know. And he's shouting at him, and he leaves, and basically the guy is like, fuck this shit. And he messes around on the computer and turns off all the safety protocols on the chip.
So it's a bit rather than, whereas the original went from all the voodoo, this kind of, I'm thinking of Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a similar way where they had their army chip in and the safety turned off. And
So originally I was like, oh, well, they've just changed the origin and it's not going to make any sense. But it actually worked. They ran with it and made it all make sense. So he puts the chip in and that's what. So I'm like, well, how are you going to make it? So he's turned the safety protocols off. So that makes the doll murderous, does it? That doesn't make any sense to me. But they were very good at showing you, because it is all kind of AI and Google and algorithms, he watches Andy and, sees like Andy and his friends are watching horror movies and they're laughing. So he's like, oh, if I copy it, that will make Andy happy. Like he wants to be friends with Andy.
Clever.
And, like the mum's boyfriend, Andy doesn't like him. Obviously he talks to Chucky, and Chucky can also video record and sound record, and he does that, and he's like, well, you don't like the boyfriend makes you sad, so I'm going to get rid of the boyfriend. So it actually works really well.
Sounds like they put some thought into the reasons behind it, which is good.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised. I was like, oh, well, they've changed the origin just to update it a bit for no reason, and Brad Dourif's voice as Chucky would make no sense in this, because in the original one, his voice is him as a serial killer. And he's like, fuck you, or whatever. So in this, it's still a doll.
Yeah.
It's also really, really creepy. I was really unnerved in certain parts of this film, which doesn't happen very often. I guess that is, even though I complained about it, is because of the way the doll looks. They do try and, Andy and his friends kind of work out what's going on and they try and get rid of the doll. They try and kill him. And watching these kids try and murder that doll, and the doll's like, yeah, don't, is very creepy.
Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant.
No, I was really unnerved by the doll, which, although I said it kind of took me out of it that nobody's going to buy that, it did work really well. It's got some good emotion in that creepy face. You do kind of, like Chucky in the original is an arsehole. He's great and he's like, fuck you, bitch. But in this, you do feel bad for him because he's like, well, can we play now? Your mum said I can't play with you anymore. If I get rid of your mum, can we play? So, yeah.
Sounds like you're supposed to empathise with Chucky.
Yeah, it was.
Which is like an interesting take on it. I wonder how they would do a sequel, though, assuming that it is set up for another one.
Yeah, they talk about that they're doing the Buddy 2. The Buddy 2 is released. In this film, also one that is supposed to look like a teddy bear, but fuck me, I don't know what that thing's fucking terrifying. No one's buying that either. And then at the end you get another doll that's eyes glow red and whatever.
You say about the teddy bear, I immediately think like some sort of Five Nights at Freddy's sort of monster.
It's not.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is supposed to look cute, but it really doesn't.
Yeah.
And the whole AI thing made it creative because Chucky can turn the lights off, turn the heat up. So he's not just running around and stabbing people. He can do all sorts of stuff that makes it really creative and made it really fun. So I enjoyed the last two in the franchise that were, I don't want to say they were remakes because I'm not sure if they're remakes or continuations but like the next, I don't know how they categorize. But
Cult of Chucky and the one before that.
I actually quite liked those. Brad Dourif's daughter is in those and she's really good. And I enjoyed those. But yeah, this is, I can't say it's a completely different movie, but it kind of is. Yeah,
it's taken the base parts of the original, but done something different with it to a new audience.
Which doesn't happen that often.
In a different time, different technology. No, I was going to say it literally does the way you're saying it, but Chucky controlling everything in the house. How much do we fear about technology and how much trust we're putting in Alexas, Google Echoes, how much information they have, and they fed that sort of fear into Chucky.
It's genius.
Yeah, and Chucky can almost manipulate Andy and be like, I've got all this shit that you said, and now no one's going to believe. He doesn't say no one's going to believe you that it was a doll, but he could because he's got footage and he's got sound bites and he's got all these things, and you could be like, actually, maybe you're a murderous child.
Yeah.
Like, like I'm not one of those people like, oh, they've remade it, so it's going to ruin the ones before. Like, I'm all for, depending on what it is, remaking it.
They still exist. You can go back and rewatch it.
Exactly.
It's like people who are like, oh, well, this band has changed and their new music's not as good, so go back and listen to the old albums, you pricks.
Yeah.
I feel very seen. No. But
it's like when they remade like Pet Sematary, the original Pet Sematary, the kid in that scares me more than most things. The kid in that is fucking terrifying. But what was that? That was the 80s. So I'm like, okay, it's like 20, 30 years later, remake it, because how many kids do you know that are going to go and watch 30-year-old films? Like, they're not.
Yeah.
But then the Pet Sematary remake is basically the same. They've made a couple of minor changes. all that they changed in it is that there are 2 kids instead of 1, I think. And like the main kid in the first one is a little boy, and this time it's a slightly older girl or something. But it's basically the same. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. But they redid Cabin Fever. I don't know if you've seen Cabin Fever, the first Cabin Fever is fucking great. The sequels were not great. But then they remade it something like 10 years later, and it's almost shot for shot. And it's not a film that ages. It's a bunch of kids in the woods that get killed by like a virus in the drinking water. It's not dated enough to remake it, and it's almost exactly the same, which is very odd. But also, which I forgot to kind of look up, they are currently making a Chucky TV series with Brad Dourif and our favourite Devon Sawa from Idle Hands is in it. I don't know too much about it.
Nice.
But I don't really know how things work, but how obviously one studio has got the rights to Chucky and has gone, right, Mark Hamill, you're doing it and we're doing this movie, and then someone else has got the rights to it to make a TV show. I don't know how that works, but hook it into my veins.
They've not said anything whether that's a continuation of Cult of Chucky sort of storyline, or it'll take that original concept but put it into more of a TV format.
I've tried not to really look at it too much.
Okay.
I've mostly seen it from Devon's Instagram. Chucky is an upcoming horror television series created by Don Mancini, who wrote the original movies.
Okay.
So it's based on the film series. Yeah, Brad Dourif is Chucky again. Fiona Dourif, his wife, is in. Jennifer Tilly is a reoccurring character.
Interesting.
So yeah, it must be based on the old one.
Yeah,
then.
so it's just, he's obviously, I guess maybe he's not allowed to write any more movies. I don't know.
No.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know who did. I don't know enough about it to know if he did Cult of Chucky and all those sorts of things, but he's obviously gone, right, well, I'm not involved anymore, so someone give me a TV show.
No, that'd be interesting.
I'm all for it. So that was my something old, something new, something rebooted, technically. And then I'm ready for Film from the Shoe. Ta-da!
Wee.
I was so proud of myself.
You really were.
Yeah.
I was broken, Andy. I couldn't make you smile. But I'm better now. I know how to make you happy now. Maybe you don't want to be happy. Maybe you're broken too. Maybe I need to open you up. See what we're dealing with.
All right. Well, I didn't really watch any films this week, but I did watch the entire series of Invincible, and let me tell you,
Ooh.
it's fucking fantastic.
It is on my list.
It's a cartoon series on Prime about a superhero whose son suddenly developed powers, and then you sort of grow with the kid as he lives his day-to-day life and tries to fight crime and stuff. It is absolutely brutal in places.
Mm-hmm.
There is some horrific violence,
Always good.
but it's got quite a touching sort of narrative, and it's very bright and colourful. I dig it, so I highly recommend anyone checks that out. But I've also brought a little game for us.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, you may remember a long time ago, we had some higher or lower games. This is going to be another one.
Yep.
Chuck in the quote here. By quote, I mean the theme. And go.
Higher or
or
lower? Definitely
lower.
not stolen this from another game show. Higher or lower?
Two stupid fucking game shows we're coming up with on the
Please give
unusual
me
suspect.
money for my family.
There you go.
Perfect. So the theme for this game is things sold at auction.
Ooh.
Movie props.
Oh, like
Now-
when Russell Crowe sold his jockstrap or whatever.
I was going to put that in, but I decided against it, as you already knew it.
Well, I knew it, but I don't know how much it
Now,
cost.
I'm not entirely sure how legitimate these prices are, because they all came from a sort of vague Google search. So if there's any arguments, you can rightly fuck off. We'll also take in turns.
Okay.
Brad, as our lovely guest this week, I'll let you go first.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let's put the starting bid at 50 grand. All of these prices are in dollars.
Bing.
50 grand. Was the hoverboard from Back to the Future 2 more, higher or lower than 50 grand?
I mean, for something so iconic. So we are talking the original hoverboard used in the movie. There's not...
The original...
They didn't have multiple versions.
Yeah, but the
okay.
second movie.
It's from the second movie, sorry. Okay, for...
I don't know if that would change your
No.
I do if it's from the second movie.
No, because it's in
the third one that's terrible, isn't it?
Because it's in the second and the third they use it, yeah.
Yeah.
But for the original prop, for something as iconic as that, for 50 grand, I'd say higher than 50 grand.
Pen?
I would agree. Yep, higher.
You're both incorrect. It was 28 grand.
Really?
28,800.
Maybe we should think about when these was
When it went on sale,
when
that's a
these
good-
were sold.
yeah.
Like, was 28 grand like 50 grand now? If it was like 20 years ago, I feel like Andy won't have that information.
If I've got the year, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So, Penny, 28,800 is your starting price. The chest burster from Alien, sold in 2004. How much did it go for? Higher or lower than 28,800?
800. I'm on a bunch of movie prop Facebook groups as well. You know that time I tried to get a Zombeaver? Remember I tried to buy a real one?
I do remember this. I'd totally forgotten you're in that, and now I feel a bit bad for Brad.
No, that's brilliant. What was the going price for a Zombeaver? I'm curious.
Basically, there's one
Wasn't much.
that one guy has. I'm going to derail this so much. Yeah, he's got one, and it's not for sale. The closest I could get was buying a naked one, like that didn't have any fur on it, and it was basically the body that was used to swim, but it didn't have any fur on it, and it didn't look anything like a Zombeaver, so I obviously didn't buy it. And it was something like, was it like $2.5 grand?
Christ.
Yeah,
Or
something like that.
It was silly fucking money. I was like, no, I want a full-on Zombeaver that looks like one.
So higher or lower than 28,800 for the chest burster from Alien?
28,800. I feel like it's more iconic, but like, if that's all the hoverboard got, I'm gonna go higher, but I'm not confident in that guess.
You're going to go higher.
Only a little.
Brad?
Given the distance between the movie coming out and that going on sale, I would also think that it would be higher than 28,800.
You are correct. It sold for 43 grand, roughly. Interestingly, to Christa Burr.
Really?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Better than Nicolas Cage's dinosaur bones.
Yeah, it is better. Speaking of dinosaur bones, next... Oh, hang on. You've caught me out. We'll come back to that. 43 grand is your starting bid. The next item for sale is a proton pack from Ghostbusters. Sold in 2012. Higher or lower than 43 grand? Brad?
I will say lower.
Yeah, I think lower. You can get some pretty reasonably priced replicas these days. I know it's a real one. I think maybe lower.
So you're both going
Wait,
lower.
whose proton pack was it? Do you know? Not that make any difference.
Harold Ramis
Yeah,
in
lower.
both films.
It was Bill Murray's.
So you're going lower? Both going lower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incorrect. It's 160 grand.
Christ.
160 grand.
160 grand, 2012. Well, speaking of dinosaur bones, see, that was smooth, wasn't it?
Nice.
A velociraptor from Jurassic Park. Higher or lower than 160 grand?
Is it animatronic? Does it move? I need more information. Do you have any?
All I have is Stan Winston's Velociraptors was one of the most popular special effects creations of the film, one of which sold for blank at a 2009 auction.
There was people in those, right? Weren't there? In the movie? I feel like there were suits with animatronic. What is my nerd showing?
I think there was puppetry.
I don't know, I'm trying to think of like, is it literally like a full piece Velociraptor?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go higher.
Higher than 160k,
Yeah.
Brad?
I'm going to go... I don't think there's going to be much difference in the price, but I'm going to go lower to make this a bit interesting, as we've been going same answers so far.
The same ones, yeah.
Interesting. Well, I can tell you that one of you is correct, as you went for opposing questions.
Oh, good.
It was 77 grand. A point to Brad.
Lovely.
So wait, the proton pack sold for more
Yeah.
than the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Next up, we have got from Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Ooh.
We've got Aragorn's sword. Sold in 2014 at an auction. Higher or lower than 77 grand?
Ooh. Interesting. So this will be the sword from... Sorry, which... Was it specifically the Return of the King, did you say?
Yeah, on-screen appearance, Return of the King.
Okay, yeah, because that's the sword that gets reforged, that cut the ring off Sauron. There's so many swords out there that you do wonder with something like this, but I'm going to go lower. Lower than 77.
You're going to go lower than 77. Interesting.
I don't think it's going to be by much.
Pen?
I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings. I know lots of people care. I was going to go for the opposite of Brad because I have no idea, but would it be more tactical for us to both be wrong? Or both be
Well,
right?
you're behind currently, so...
I know.
Aragorn's sword. from Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
I'm going to go with the power of nerds and go higher.
Well, again, one of you is correct.
If I'm wrong, it's the nerds' fault.
So 77 grand was the starting bid. Aragon's sword sold for 437,000.
Fucking hell. Yes, nerds with your excess money and your knack of girlfriends. That was mean. I don't mean that. I don't mean that at all.
I'm now trying to work out how many velociraptors you could get for one Aragorn sword.
I haven't done the maths, but it's at least 5.
It's about, it's about 6.
It's like, it's a whole Chris Pratt of velociraptors, I'm imagining. Like, you could have them, when they're all around him.
Yeah.
I'm imagining it's like at least that many. How much was it? Sorry, 400?
37 grand.
430 for a fucking sword.
Yeah. So it's 5 and a bit velociraptors.
I mean, I guess it is the sword, isn't it? In Lord of the Rings. It's the sword.
Yeah. Interestingly, it sold more than Gandalf's staff, which surprised me.
And he keeps his pipe in that, so you get a 2-for-1.
Exactly.
Gandalf has 2 different staffs over the film, so I can see.
Gandalf the White staff is sold.
3.
So there we go, that was the clarification.
Pen?
I'm just sitting over here making dick jokes, sorry.
437 grand is a starting bid.
Yep.
Next up, we have got a full-scale Terminator metal suit from Terminator 2. Terminate harder.
I mean, is the third one Terminate hardest?
No.
Oh.
A day to terminate harder.
Terminate with a vengeance. We're getting off track.
400. I feel like it should be worth more, but I feel like less people gave a shit about Terminator than Lord of the Rings. Like, there's less nerd boners about Terminator, so I'm going to go lower. Because that is a fuck ton of money.
You're going to go lower, Brad?
From my basic knowledge of Terminator, Terminator 2 is the one that most people regard as the best, I believe.
By an absolute mile.
I'm going to go with higher.
Look at you with your inside Terminator knowledge that I don't know.
Having not seen it, but I'm going to go higher. Yeah.
Well, one of you's correct.
Yeah.
And it's Brad.
Ah.
It sold for $488,750.
Whoa.
An obscene amount of money.
477,000.
488,750.
Fucking hell.
But who would win?
Sorry.
The Terminator or the 6 velociraptors you could get for the same money?
Oh, who'd win in a fight?
I mean, that's a really good question. But it is an iconic bit of prop, innit?
Oh, yeah.
And our next up is equally iconic, I would say. This is for you, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
This is Indiana Jones's trademark fedora hat.
Ooh.
Sold in 2018. Higher or lower than 488,750?
I mean, that's not just any hat. That's Indy's hat. But one wonders how much Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has reduced the value of anything related to the...
of anything in Indiana Jones,
yeah. I think, as much as I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has harmed the value, I'm going to go higher. It's Indy's hat.
You're going to go higher, Pam?
That's so much fucking money. So if I'm wrong, then people are idiots. I'm going to go lower.
Well, one of you is
correct.
Indiana Jones trademark fedora hat sold at a 2018 auction for $520,000.
Oh, get out, you nerds. 500. That's too much money, man.
It belongs in a museum.
It does belong in a museum. It's great. Love that.
You're not giving it to a museum after you've paid fucking $500,000 for it, is that?
No, the government come and take it away, put it in a box and put it in not Area 51.
Next to the Ark of the Covenant. So we've had a trademark bit of kit, Pen. Next up, you've got, I would say, something that is as iconic as Indy's hat.
Yeah.
We have got Christopher Reeve's costume from the 1978 Superman film, sold at a 2007 Hollywood auction. Are we saying higher or lower than 420 grand?
420? I thought we were 500 and...
Sorry, 520.
Okay. I mean, I keep wanting to say lower because nerds, this is too much money. But now I don't know because I keep being wrong. Like, I don't think I can come back from this, can I? It depends how many questions you got.
Yeah, I got enough.
$500,000 for Superman's outfit. And he was the first Superman, right? Well, the first big Superman.
It was the first film, I think. Or the first, like, world release film.
Yeah, so I want to say lower, but I'm going to say higher. So either way, I'm going to be annoyed.
Brad?
I'm really mad.
This could be the point where I sound cynical because I've got the 2-point lead. But if it was...
I don't think it's going to be higher.
If it was Brandon Routh, then I'd be saying lower. But it's Brandon Routh, isn't it, who played the one Superman and wasn't good? Yeah. I knew I remembered that reference from Ted when it got thrown up at the end for no reason. But for Christopher Reeve's suit, I'd say definitely higher.
Interesting. So both going higher. Well, you're both wrong. It sold for 115 grand in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm happier because we're both wrong, and I'm glad that people didn't spend that much money on that fucking suit.
So, I would say an equally iconic suit, Brad. It is the white suit worn by John Travolta in the film Saturday Night Fever.
Ooh.
Now,
That's not as much as...
there are 2 known auctions for this. I am going to give you the one in 1995, but remind me and I'll come back to the other one. So, higher or lower than 115 grand?
Okay. I'm going to go lower.
Pam?
I'm also going to go lower because John Travolta's not as good as Superman. Right?
You're incorrect. It's 145 grand in 1995. This was subsequently sold in 2017 for 1.2 million.
Christ. So that's 12 years and it's gained about 10 times the value.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Absolutely batshit. So, Penny, a not quite so iconic suit, but maybe a more delicious one. 5 Willy Wonka chocolate bars sold in 2019 from the 1971 film. Higher or lower than 145 grand?
I was going to say lower, but what I've learned is nerds that have too much money have too much money. Lower, because it's fucking... There's no chocolate in them, right? They're fake.
I think it's chocolate.
They made real chocolate.
Yeah.
You can't eat it.
I mean, not after that amount of time.
But does that make it more valuable?
Rhett and Link eat old food on Good Mythical Morning all the time. It's gross. And they pay loads of money for that. Less than 145,000 or more than 145,000. Less.
That's what you're going for, is it? Less?
Yeah, lower.
Brad?
I would also say lower. I'm on the same train of thought where just... I know it's 5 chocolate bars, but I just don't see them adding up to that much. But I could be completely wrong with what you say next.
You are both correct.
There.
They sold for 17 grand. Okay, there's only a handful of questions left. Pen, you still have the option to take the lead if you play tactically. But Brad, I would say this is something you probably don't want to eat. It's a carbonite Han Solo from Star Wars. Higher or lower than 17 grand?
I mean, that's not just any Han, that is the Han.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The iconic image. I just can't see how that is any less than 17 grand, so I'm going to say higher.
Pep?
Yeah, higher. I'm assuming it's like a life-size one too, right?
Life-size one, yeah.
Yeah, so higher.
You are both incorrect.
What?
7.5 grand. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I could afford that.
I know.
I could just about put that on my credit card.
You could put that on your
empty,
wall.
which it isn't.
I'm blown away of all the things that have been brought up, like the size of that,
Yeah, that's mad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Less than Wonka chocolate.
That makes no sense to me.
I was gobsmacked. All I have is just the price, and I'm like, how is that happening?
What year was that as well? I'm curious.
Yeah.
No idea.
Just the price.
No
Wow.
idea. Just the price.
I'm shocked.
Maybe they were like, you have to ship it yourself, or it had loads of shipping on it, so nobody would buy it because it was like 20 grand to ship it.
Maybe extra if you got Boba Fett to bring it on Slave One.
It's a real deep cuts, I'm digging it. Speaking of deep cuts, next up we have got Wilson from Castaway. Higher or lower than 40 grand? I can't remember who's starting.
Higher or lower than...
Higher or lower? 7.5 grand.
7.5 grand.
For the Wilson from Castaway.
People love that stupid movie. That movie's dumb. It's so long. Nothing happens.
Again, I was shocked by this. Higher or lower? Someone shout out.
Higher. It shouldn't be.
when you say shocked, it's either going to be really, really cheap for what it is, or
so much,
or it's going to be the highest thing we've had so far. So I'm going to go with higher as well. I think it's going to be pushing $1 million, possibly.
I can tell you that you are both correct.
Whoa.
His value was 40 grand.
Well, I was a bit off with $1 million, but...
Who's next? I've lost track. Someone tell me.
It'll be me.
Brad's first.
Okay, so next up we have the ruby slippers from the Wizard of Oz.
Ooh.
Which are in a museum now, I believe. Because they went
They are
missing
now.
for a very long time.
So there's 4 pairs. There were 4 pairs. I think 2 were destroyed. 1 is in a museum. 1 has been sold.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen that. I will give my reasoning afterwards, but I will say higher than 40 grand. It was around 40 grand, wasn't it, the Wilson? Yeah.
Yeah.
Higher than Wilson are the slippers.
And when were these sold? Do you know?
Nope. Oh, 2000.
I'm going to go say higher as well. Because they fucking shit themselves when they found that other pair.
You are both correct.
Yeah.
They sold for 666,000.
I'm sure I remember reading an old copy of the Guinness World Records book. I want to say 2002. And I'm sure there was something about the auction for the slippers in that.
So, since that book, and I think since these were sold, the Cowardly Lion is sold for double.
Wow.
Double that.
Oof.
Yeah. So we've got 2 more left. Pen, you're on for a draw here if you can swing the results.
Okay.
And it's your turn to start. So 666,000 is the opening bid. And you're bidding on the Maltese Falcon from the film Maltese Falcon.
Lower. Because... Oh, that's quite... Lower. Because... Yeah. Guinness Book of Records and shit. Lower. I know that was a big thing, but I feel like the ruby slippers have got to be more.
Would it help if I told you this was sold in 2013?
So does that make it higher because it's old, or lower because no one gives a shit? So no, it didn't help. Lower. Fuck it.
All right.
Brad?
I think from my last appearance, it's known that sometimes I like to make it interesting going into the last question.
Yep.
In the hopes of maybe doing that.
Got one more after this. One more question after this, if that changes your mind.
No, I'll say higher, and we'll just see what happens. Either I've got unassailable lead, or we go to potential tiebreaker.
Okay, well, 666,000 with the ruby slippers. The Maltese Falcon, which is made of lead, sold for...
Made of lead?
4.1 million.
Wow.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Of lead.
That's one hell of a pencil, isn't it?
Put 'em bum.
And finally, Brad, this one is yours. This is for pride now, Pen, you're playing for.
I don't have any of
Marilyn Monroe's dress from the 7-Year Itch. This is the iconic white dress that she stood over the subway vent.
Oh, shit.
Higher or lower than 4.1 million?
I mean, as iconic as it is, I'm gonna say lower.
Pem?
Fuck it, then I will say higher.
So 4.1 million for the fucking Maltese Falcon. Marilyn Monroe's dress.
Her vagina's been near that. People love that shit.
The lovely white dress with all the steam that must have burnt her vagina.
Yeah, see? I reckon there's a million in that just for that.
Well, and she was bloody Gwyneth Paltrow before Gwyneth Paltrow. She was getting that hot air to her vagina immediately.
I mean, please don't. I see what you're saying, but please don't relate her to Gwyneth Paltrow because she's gross.
Marilyn Monroe's dress, the white dress, the one that's been near her vagina, as Penny said, went for... Remember, it's got to beat 4.1 million. It sold in 2011 for 4.6 million. I can't remember who got the points because I dragged it out too long.
Yeah, Pen.
Yay, pride! Woohoo! Yeah.
That's mad dollar, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's...
It's just a bit of fabric. I don't get it.
But it's who that fabric's been worn by. And that
Yeah.
And where she wore it.
Jenny and I are still very upset because we saw Matt Lillard's jumper from Scream at the end when he's all stabbed and bleeding on eBay when we were, I don't want to say children, but children, and it was only like 250 quid.
Wow.
But we did not have jobs. And one of us will bring that up fairly often because we wish we'd bought it, but like we didn't have 250 quid, and that's so fucking...
Did you not sweet talk your mother?
Mum was like, what do you want a fucking bloody jumper for? No, she thinks we're idiots as it is.
I mean, she is right.
Yeah. Congratulations!
Yeah, you know how you're always like, oh, I beat Brad in a game where Brad's just beating you.
Well, I still have beaten Brad in one game.
You're currently 1-1.
Yeah, but
in the best of 3 tournament.
And also,
it's
I'd like to add, I seem to remember when you...
It's still a draw.
When you said that as well, you said that I came last, but I came ahead of Dan in that last quiz. As much as I was behind you.
Did you really?
Did Dan lose as well? I don't even remember, to be honest.
I'd totally forgotten about that.
Dan was third.
I just remember saying I beat Brad.
Yeah, you beat me, but Dan was third, yeah.
Oh, I feel bad. We just forgot about Dan.
Never.
I can't even remember what he looks like anymore.
No.
Cool. Well, congratulations, Brad. Here's a round of applause. Insert one in post. Good job, whoever's editing this.
Higher or lower? Definitely not stolen this from another game show. Higher or lower?
These stupid fucking game shows we're coming up with on the
Please give
unusual
me
suspect.
money for my family.
Let's move on from auction, shall we, and talk about our film from the shoe. Brad, what did you bring with you?
Well, as you mentioned, it was filmed in the shoe. I would like to do... This is probably going to be useless for people listening, but for the sake of Andy and Penny here, I have brought a film in my shoey.
This is fantastic.
He's got the DVD in his
No
shoe.
one is going to see this apart
You
from
can
us.
hear the
but I absolutely love
the
it.
rattle of a DVD.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
DVDs, they are still a thing. And this is the DVD of 2017's The Death of Stalin.
Directed by Armando Iannucci. It's got a whole host of British actors in it.
So many people.
Before we start, because I'll be interested to see what happens with Penny. Why did you bring this film, Brad?
So, The Death of Stalin mixes two things I have a lot of interest in. So, first of all, obviously bring up Armando Iannucci being the director, and obviously he's well known for Alan Partridge stuff in the 90s, but for me, Iannucci is the thick of it, in the loop. I love in the thick of it. I will binge watch the whole seasons 1 to 5 at least once a year. I think In the Loop is brilliant. It is quite a fun. I could bring that on at some point, but it would just be me with a list of Malcolm Tucker quotes. Like, that's all you'd get out of me. Obviously, he did Veep in the US. So The Death of Stalin balances that political chaos that Iannucci has such a knack of being able to write and put together with the Russian history of the Soviet Union, in particular that period post World War II, and as it says, the death of Joseph Stalin.
Totally. So you are a secret history nerd, I think, that unless know you particularly well would know that. Like, I can't imagine Penn knew that this would be up your street, historically wise.
Yeah, when I was in college, the 2 years I did history at college both had terms that were focused on Russian history, and I think even at university I did a sports journalism course, and I managed to get a whole bit about the Russian football team that Stalin and Bob Beria, we will get onto in the film, sent to the Gulag because they were better than the secret police's team in a game that Stalin got to watch in Red Square. So for being good at football, they got sent to the Gulag. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like an absolutely bonkers time. But I do think this is quite a good match of your interests. So we shall get into it, and we will try and keep Penny
I have a
entertained
question.
whilst we go. Sure.
Yeah.
How historically accurate is this? Ish. Like, from documentary to Tarantino.
So it's somewhere in the middle. So the screenplay for the film is based on a 2012 French comic, but a lot of the events in the film are based on actual real life events. but a lot of them happened at different times.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the films condensed them into a smaller period. So there are events that happened, say, 3 years before the period of this film. Some happened a few months after.
Gotcha.
But the comic and the screenplay have condensed it into this sort of 1 week.
Is that how he actually died?
Pretty much, yes. I think we'll get onto it. But yeah, he dies has a stroke.
Gotcha.
And dies, yeah.
Okay. With you.
I had the same initial question as well, read the trivia and was like, this seems more accurate than I expected. So, it's 1953. We open at a radio studio in Moscow. There's a piano recital. And they are playing Mozart's Piano Concerto number 23. Across the bottom of the screen, there is, I want to say a ticker, but it's not really a ticker, is it? There's forced subtitles that say, for 20 years, Stalin's NKVD security forces have imposed the Great Terror. Those on Stalin's list of, inverted commas, enemy names are arrested, exiled, or shot.
Yeah, this film does a really good job of, in that opening scenes, showing that terror in real life, whether it's the soldiers rounding up civilians to send to the gulags, or as we see the terror in the radio studio, where I don't know if you want to get onto it, if you were going to touch on it, what happens at the start.
Yep, so inside the sound booth we see the director. I'll be honest, Brad, I'm not even going to attempt half of these names, so I'm going to use their actual names.
Yep, that's fine.
Paddy Considine.
Musical director played by Paddy Considine, who receives a phone call.
So spoilers, not my sort of film.
Fair.
Sorry, everyone. Very few parts of it made me laugh, except the fact my first note just says, "This is Stalin, lol," because he rings him up and he's like, "This is Stalin." I don't know.
So he's asked to call back in 17 minutes, and he turns to his colleague, played by Tom Brook, in a slightly panicked way, and reveals that it was Stalin on the phone. They have a conversation about, well, is it 17 minutes from when you pick up or when you hang up, or how long has it been? Did you take a note of the time? And I think immediately you get a sort of grasp of what sort of film it is. It's black humour, but quite dry.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
which is probably why Penn didn't get on with it that much.
I don't know whether I'm just broken from horror movies, but I didn't get any of this.
Yeah, it's maybe not as quote along, laugh along as something like The Thick of It or In the Loop. For me, it's knowing, I think for me, definitely having the knowledge of the Russian history and the terrors and how people had to act to survive is what makes a lot of it. It's a lot of visual comedy.
Yeah.
Like you say, just that conversation about the 17 minutes where they're saying, right, well, was it 17 minutes from when you picked up? When he said 17 minutes? When I said 17 minutes? Or when was that? That's because if that 17 minutes, if you're not calling Stalin back exactly on that time,
you're fucked.
You might be going to the gulag. Like, this might be the last concert you're running for Radio Moscow.
I've got to say, I found this a lot funnier than The Emperor's New Groove, Penn, by like a fucking mile.
I think I laughed twice.
The problem is that the concert went out live and they haven't recorded it, so they are fucked.
Yep.
I felt Paddy's panic in this moment because we've been there.
Yeah.
Don't worry, no one's going to kill you, I promise you.
Had to do a re-record.
So meanwhile, we're in an office featuring Stalin and all of his mates. A list has been handed to Beria. He's played by Simon Russell Beale.
Simon Russell Beale is fantastic. Simon Russell Beale, who's mainly, outside of this film, mainly does theatre work, but I think that lends him so well to something like this, and he is the star of this film, in my opinion, and I think most of the narrative is driven through Lavrenti Beria, who is the head of the NKVD, the secret police in Russia.
I would agree. I think he is standout. Yeah.
He was like the main character, wasn't he? He was good. But is it bad that my favourite character was Lock, Stock, Stalin? Because he was great. I know he shouldn't be my favourite.
He is a bit bricked up.
Yeah.
He really, I had to look him up and see if he was in any of them because he did remind me of Bricked Up so much. I kind of wish he'd been in it longer.
So Iannucci apparently decided, all of the actors in this film keep their natural voice apart from ones who put on like different accents, as we'll come to later. But none of them put on Russian accents. Partly because they didn't want to make it more difficult for the actors.
Yeah.
And partly because they didn't want to trivialize it. And I think that's what makes it more entertaining.
100%.
Is that you've got Stalin sounding like it's from the East End, like threatening his comrades.
Like you say, it's that.
And calling them essentially,
Yeah.
I'll put you on the fucking list, mate. It's ridiculous.
And although I have obviously missed the humour, or it's not my humour, the actors were funny. So some of the stuff that they said, or the way they said it, made me laugh. Something about a pianist and fingering comes to mind. And so there were bits of that made me laugh. But if they'd have done it in maybe a Russian accent, wouldn't have been funny. But it was more the way that they said it rather than
100%.
Oh, and it was also, stupid stuff because I'm a child.
Yeah. So Barry is handed a list from Stalin, and it is essentially a list of people that Stalin wants murdered. We also see Nikita Khrushchev. Is that right, Brad?
Yep. Khrushchev.
Fucking
I was going to
nailed
say
it.
Nikita Khrushchev. Call him Nicky through list if it's easier, but Khrushchev played by Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. And a few other people. Michael Palin's there.
Do you want me to give a rough rolling off of them? Because I can...
You tell us who's there, and I'll just go, yep, after each
So
one.
obviously we've got Vlad Beria, Nikita Khrushchev, Georgy Malenkov, who's Stalin's deputy, played by Jeffrey Tambor, and Vyacheslav Molotov, who's one of the old guard from Lenin's era, which is played by the wonderful Michael Palin. But Molotov. So Molotov, Malenkov, Khrushchev, Beria, Stalin at this meeting.
Is he a barman by any chance, Molotov?
A barman?
Thank you. Yeah. Molotov cocktails.
Yeah. They were actually named after him.
Very good.
Bum.
Yeah. So Buscemi's chatting bollocks about
Thanks, Brad.
having to be in Stalingrad and having to throw grenades at people to keep himself warm, and they have a nice meal together, and they settle down and watch a lovely cowboy film. I don't know what the relevance of the cowboy film is.
One of the few things that Stalin and Hitler both shared was the sort of love of cowboy movies. I could be wrong on the Hitler part, but Stalin loved the cowboy movies, and basically everyone was... You can see how they're all bored they are watching it in the scene, because they are basically forced into watching it every time by Stalin, because Stalin wants to watch it. And that was a known fact, that he kind of forced all his cabinet members to sit and watch these films with him, and they were all bored off their asses.
Well, I think Hitler was a fan of... I know he was a
like.
fan of Charlie Chaplin, because that's why he grew the tash to look like Charlie Chaplin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, poor Charlie Chaplin. Imagine that.
Yeah, he kind of enjoyed that. So we go back to our pals Paddy and Tom, the two radio dudes, and they are rushing out of the recording studio, asking the audience to retake their seats so they can re-record the concerto again. Unfortunately, because half of the audience have left, the acoustics will now be fucked and it won't sound as good, and they want it to sound absolutely tip-top for Stalin, because otherwise he won't be a happy boy.
You're all dead.
So Paddy suggests that they find some fat people from the street to help deaden the noise.
One of them says, I could get my wife, she'd deaden the acoustics.
My wife.
Yeah, it's a fantastic... I mean, it's a fat joke, isn't it? But I laughed.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Unfortunately, they have got bigger issues than just the acoustics. Pianist Maria Udina, played by Olga Kurilenko from the classic film Max Payne. No, she's not in Max Payne. She's in Hitman, but she's also in one of the Bond films, the shit one.
Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace.
Wait, which Hitman? Timothy Hitman or other Hitman?
Timothy Hitman. So she's refusing to play it because Stalin killed her family, and she's rightly bitter about it. Paddy bribes her with a big fat wedge of cash and says, "Don't worry, you'll be fine. You won't be killed," which seems to be his catchphrase at this point. Sadly, the conductor then collapses into a fire bucket, and now they need a new conductor as well.
I've written on my notes, big blinky Ben Swain goes for a tumble. Because the actor Justin Edwards played a character called Ben Swain in The Thick of It. So I think he's the only, from what I can recognise, he's the only kind of recurring or regular cast member from The Thick of It that was in this film, from what I could tell. I didn't recognise anyone else.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
Me neither.
Which is weird, because I think I'd be into it.
I think, you'd love it.
My kind of humour.
It's definitely more quote-along, especially because of Peter Capaldi's character.
Yeah.
But
so we see the NKVD smashing down doors, trying to arrest people on their hunt to complete Stalin's list. And there's one particular elderly gentleman who's telling his wife that he loves her and tell them what you need to say and it'll all be fine. And then his door knocks and he opens the door, and it's not the secret police. It is someone in a suit asking for him to be the conductor for the re-recording of the concerto because he is the best and nearest conductor.
The finest and nearest.
I love the bait and switch and that. Just subverting the expectation, and it's like, hello, Radio Moscow needs you.
I like that as their... well, I mean, I don't even know if he was on the list. I guess that's the point. No. Like, they live in fear permanently.
Everyone just assumes
they're going to be taken away, yeah.
Yeah, like I say, you can see through their window people getting taken away, and he's heard the knock. So he's presumed that that's what they're here for, and then...
Yeah, they don't have to have done anything.
Apparently, in real life, they actually needed a third conductor because the second one was too drunk.
Yes.
But Iannucci said people would think it was taking the piss.
I mean, I think people would say the same if they tried to make the thick of it in this day and age with how politics is in 2021.
Yeah, that's probably true. So we see Stalin's pals leaving after their night out. Beria wishes everyone a fond farewell, particularly Molotov, Michael Palin. And he says it's a permanent farewell.
No. It's farewell forever.
He's like, that's right, he's on the list.
That's it, yeah.
Bon voyage, see you tomorrow.
Farewell forever. What? Nothing.
He is ruthless. I mean, he leads the secret police, and it kind of makes sense that he is that ruthless. But yeah, that can't be a fun time to live in.
I think my favourite quote at that point is Malenkov, Tambers, because in the meeting he's brought up a person who's obviously been killed in a list before, and he's like, I'm exhausted, I can't tell who's alive and who isn't.
Yeah.
Which kind of sums up the whole situation pretty perfectly.
Yeah, and it seems like those lists were almost daily.
Oh, yeah.
Going out.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not good. So the recording goes well for Paddy and Tom. They manage to get the record done. They hand it to the NKVD, but not before Maria can turn up and slip a note into it, essentially saying to
fuck you, Stalin
that he has destroyed the nation and betrayed the people. She calls him a tyrant in the note, and as he's reading this, he's sort of laughing and then collapses and has his stroke.
Yep, well, there's the two guards on duty outside his room who hear him collapse. Again, this is another thing that did happen where they didn't go into the room until the morning because they were so fearful of what happened if they did and he was alive, and so which they say, one of them says, should we investigate, and then the other says, should you shut the fuck up before you get us both killed, which kind of...
It's fair, you don't know what he's doing in there and doesn't want to be interrupted.
Exactly.
He might be having a cheeky little wank.
Yeah, you don't know.
Very thunderous wank.
Thunderous? Jesus, you've got way too much energy. So the following morning, Stalin is found ill by his, I guess, maid.
Tea lady, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's panicking to get to his house.
My note is a little bit further down, but I thought he was dead already. Like, I know they were like, Stalin's really ill, and I thought they were like, Stalin's really ill, wink. So I've literally got 3 notes that say, oh, I thought he was actually dead. Oh, now he's awake. Oh, now he is dead. Like, I totally did not... Like, I know they said he was ill, but the way they were just, like, picking him up and stuff, I was like, oh, I thought he was dead.
I thought the same.
Okay. Seeing as it's called the Death of Stalin, like, not completely clueless.
No.
Hopefully.
So Beria gets to his house first. He checks on him, realises he's pissed himself, and is like, well, there's nothing we can do. So he smuggles a load of paperwork out to one of his soldier...
Officers.
Secret policemen. Officers, that's the word. One of his comrades.
Policeman officers.
And then Malenkov and Steve Buscemi arrive.
In the Soviet Union, a lot of how things work is, you have to be seen to be doing things first. And so Buscemi's seen from his flat that Malenkov's rushed off. He hears about Stalin. And then he puts his suit over his pyjamas. He doesn't even get them to take off. His wife gets his wife to put them over. So he's got this floral yellow pyjama shirt showing from underneath his suit jacket.
Yeah, silk shirt.
Yeah.
They're both gutted, of course. And then... And I'm going to need some pronunciation here and some names.
Yeah, this is the point where I kind of switch off with some of the name that says, I know there's Kaganovich and Bulgarin. There's another one of the main ones that Paul Whitehouse plays, but I can't remember those. They're like sort of the more background members of the Presidium committee. The guys that we met at the start are kind of the main ones the names that I will always remember, but...
Yes, and I agree with you. So Kaganovich storms in. He's played by Dermot Crowley. He was in Luther. He storms in, calls the guards on the doors a bunch of fannies. And then Paul Whitehouse and the other guy that you mentioned turn up as well. And they all sort of have a little sadness about Stalin, and then they work together to carry the piss-soaked Soviet to his bed.
Yeah, and then
The way you're saying it, like, I should have found this funnier.
You should have. It was funny.
Yeah, I didn't even laugh at Fanny's. Maybe I am broken.
It was kind of in slow-mo as well. He kicks the door in and goes, "Fannies!" And it's great.
there was another word beginning with F he said before, like flattering fannies or something.
Something
Yeah.
like that,
See,
yeah.
when you said it made me laugh.
Yeah, but it was the slow-mo, so you kind of just pick up the word before fannies as he's bursting through the door.
Strange.
They work together, they take him to his bedroom and they discuss trying to find a doctor. The problem is, all of the good doctors they've had murdered or sent to the gulag.
Yep,
So all that's left are bad doctors, but, like, if they save him, it's a good doctor. If they don't, Stalin won't know, because he'll be dead.
Yep.
They're all talking about this over his body with a sense of fear that, like,
Because
he could hear and come back and persecute him.
Yep, so
what's his name? Livretti.
Beria, yeah.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. I realised he was the bad guy. So I thought he would just be like, oh no, don't get a doctor, because we can't save him, because he's already dead. Because he obviously wanted to be the next
Yeah, it's-
Stalin or something. So that's why I was even more confused. I'm like, they're focusing on this doctor stuff a lot when it's too late.
That's the thing, there's so many little things and scheming happening. Like, Beria's brain's working at a mile a minute during that.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a scene before he gets to Stalin as he's after the stroke at the NKVD headquarters, where you kind of see, you get more of the background to him,
Yeah.
terror he causes, and I believe he alludes to women who will throw themselves at him to get their husbands out. I believe he says, "I thank the union for bringing me so many devoted wives who fuck like sewing machines."
that fuck like sewing machines.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good imagery.
Yeah.
But also, you know.
But yeah, he's very much, while Stalin's in his bed and they're trying to work out what to do, he's already scheming multiple things. And the whole thing about the doctors, there was a thing called the doctor's plot, where Stalin had the paranoia that all these Jewish doctors mostly were going to kill him, had them all sent to the gulag. Hence why they're only in the position to have bad doctors look at him.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
They're now trying to get hold of Stalin's kids as a way to sort of get in the good books with them immediately. One of whom is played by Rupert Friend, Vasily Stalin. He is what I would call an absolute fucking renegade. He's an alcoholic. He doesn't really know what's going on. And he's at a hockey game where there's reference to a plane crash where the team died. I think this is true. This did happen.
Yep, but this is one of those
I was going to
events.
say, are Russians known for hockey?
Oh, yes.
Is
Yes.
that a thing? Oh.
You've seen Mighty Ducks. You should know that, Ben.
Are they Russian in the first one? I've only seen the first one. There's no Russians in the TV show.
You should rush and see the second one. Hey.
Oh, he's so good.
But yeah, I believe this is one of those moments I mentioned at the start where events are kind of in a different point. I think the plane crash happened 3 years before this is all kind of set.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
So a load of the secret police go to collect him, and he calls them a bunch of rude fucking pies. And I don't know why that is so funny.
I mean,
We also see his daughter, Svetlana, played by Andrea Risberg, who turns up at Stalin's house.
the dacha, yeah.
She's just there at the dacha. She's heard, so she is there. We then see the doctors telling, I've got to find a collective term for them, telling the chaps,
The Russians.
The committee.
the committee,
Yeah.
that Stalin has had a cerebral hemorrhage, so a stroke. There's kind of toing and froing between a couple of the doctors to decide whether or not who should tell them, because they're still fearful that, you know, they'll be seen as the ones who have not done a good enough job if he dies. So Beria is obviously pissed off. He storms off to his office, but he is the thinking man, and he makes a call immediately to his head office to cauterize Moscow, cut it off from the rest of the city, and then implement our own new list.
So it's very much where before Svetlana turns up, you've seen Buscemi's talking to Kaganovich and Malenkov's talking to Beria. And this is the point where factions are starting to form.
Yeah.
And Khrushchev's already talking about reforms, letting people out.
He wants to change shit.
But Beria's kind of ahead of him on that, because Beria is the man probably more responsible than anyone for putting a lot of these people away.
Yeah.
So, but like you say, the NKVD have taken control of the city from the army, closing the borders of Moscow, stopping people getting in. So like you say, he's very much trying to control the narrative of what happens as he's presumed at the time that Stalin is dead.
I mean, he's the smartest dude in the room.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He thinks quicker and he does everything at the right time to make sure that he doesn't come out the villain. So, like, he lets all these people out, and he should be the arsehole for putting them away, but because he's letting them out, he'll go, well, it was Stalin's list.
Yeah.
I've let you out. It's Stalin's list. He put you there. So he's the smartest dude in the room.
Yeah, I believe there's a quote later on where he says, let's see who can mobilise first. So it seems to be me, which is his whole kind of
it's me.
attitude to how he does things.
Yeah. So Buscemi says to Svetlana, I'll look after you. I've got you. I will do you no harm. No harm will come to you. And she's like, what do you mean harm? He's talking about harm. He's like, what? No, he said harm, not me, whatever. So everyone is trying to get her on side.
I think something I love about the way Andrea Risborough plays it is where she can get so focused up in one thing, but then the tiniest minutiae of something. So when she's outside the dacha and she's upset, but then she starts complaining about they haven't been tending to the herb garden. No one's been tending it. It's got out. Yeah. And she has a similar thing when she's talking about the harm, and then she notices someone's put something on a chair in Stalin's room, and it's like, who puts that on a chair?
Yeah, a lamp on a chair. Who puts a lamp on a chair?
That's it, yeah.
I mean, fair question.
All of a sudden, Stalin wakes up, and Beria isn't a happy boy. He storms out of the room, slams his hand into a post, and then Paul Whitehouse comes out and says, yeah, he's dead. So within 30 seconds, he's passed. They're doing an autopsy. They're cutting his brain open, and Vasily bursts in and starts shooting at the ceiling because he's shit-faced. He thinks that I think it's defib or like a... It's like a breathing apparatus or a defib or something like that, and it's American-made, and essentially he thinks that they are going to give Stalin's brain to the Americans, and it's going to take control of the Soviet Union or some bullshit. I don't know. He's hammered. He's hammered.
Talking nonsense at that point.
Lots of vodka.
It's all conspiracy theories, isn't it?
Yeah, and he starts insulting the doctors. He says, you're not even a person, you're a testicle, to one of them, which is my favourite of the... between him and Svetlana, they round the insult all the various doctors at one point.
Yeah, because they're saying he's too old, he's too young, he's just a testicle.
You're just hair.
So they leave the dacha, all of them, and there's sort of, again, it's a competition to try and get out first as they're taking Stalin's body out, and it seems there's a bit of movement. So Beria gets out of his car, salutes, and everyone else does the same, and then he immediately gets back in and drives off so he can get there first. Buscemi is stuck at the end going, what the fuck, how are we suddenly last?
Something interesting was when Lenin died, who was obviously the founder of the Communist Party in Russia. He didn't want Stalin to become leader, but Stalin ended up in control of his funeral, and Leon Trotsky, who was the presumed guy who might have been the successor, was sent away on holiday for an illness during the funeral, wasn't told about it, and all the pictures have Stalin at the front of this funeral procession. So he looks like he's going to be the next guy. So that's why Beria sees it as so important to be the first in that first car following Stalin's casket.
That's really interesting, and we will come back to that shortly, because that leads on to something else. So, the second the committee leave, a load of NKVD dudes turn up and essentially just clean up the house by murdering anyone who's there or arresting them and getting rid of everything that's in the building.
Yeah.
Beria goes and rescues Molotov's wife from torture. She's been there for a few years, and she says, well, Stalin's dead. He can go home.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm your mate. Painting himself as the hero again.
Whereas she's obviously been in a gulag for years for being a traitor of the state.
Yeah.
Where Beria and Stalin put her there.
Because one, I've written, why is Livretti being nice to that lady? Because I didn't know who she was. But the fact that he's like, Stalin's dead. And she's like, the Stalin? I'm like, no, the other Stalin.
The lookalike Stalin they just shot.
Joe Stalin.
Buscemi goes to see Molotov himself and says that together they can vote Beria out, and that Beria is suspicious and shouldn't be trusted. But then Beria turns up at his house with Mrs. Molotov, and they do a lovely reunion. Now, Mr. Molotov, Michael Palin, is always seems suspicious of her.
It's
because she was a traitor.
He is very much an old, because he is an old sort of Soviet and communist. He's very much died in that sort of party line. The committee is as one, and you know, if Stalin said that Paulina is a traitor,
she must be.
I love how him and Buscemi are having that conversation where Beria comes in, and they're both slagging her off. And the moment she walks through the door, they just completely flip the other way.
Yes, yeah.
Like, but there she is, and she's and I love. There's the facial expressions you can see while Paulina and Molotov are hugging. And Beria's facial expression is like, oh, isn't this so great? And then when neither of them can see Beria and Khrushchev, and Khrushchev's just given Beria a look like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what is this?
Yeah, everything seems like a tactical decision to try and make each other look or like give themselves a position of power.
Exactly.
So there's a committee vote that culminates in Tambor essentially being the new Stalin. He's the chief of the Soviet.
Yeah, so he was he was essentially the deputy general secretary. So he was the natural successor, and it was just a general. That was basically a simple. Well, you were the deputy, so you're going to be the new general secretary of the Soviet Union. And
Beria is put forward as the second in chief, the deputy. They also vote to pause arrests and executions.
Yeah.
Buscemi is like, "What the fuck? That's my idea. Why is he claiming credit for it?" It's because Beria's a clever guy. They also stitch Buscemi up by making him organise the funeral.
So something that was very interesting that you kind of get to see the Beria's machinations, because just before the committee meeting, he's cornered Malenkov and has kind of put all these ideas in his head about why they should liberalise things and let prisoners go. And there was a specific speech he says about Stalin that Malenkov then parrots word for word to justify why they're doing this. It's Beria, he's got putting all his little puppets in place. Malenkov's kind of that main one in the committee. And I guess the conflict is where Khrushchev, Buscemi's character, is wanting to challenge things, but the idea of the communist committee, and obviously communism as its idea is everyone is as equal, we are united as one.
Yeah.
So everything has to pass unanimously, even if you don't like it. You can just see how their hands are hovering on certain voting protocols.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like how you see like one or two of them voting, and then they all gradually put their hands up in agreement, even if they're not happy about it.
The Palin speech as well, where he's trying to he's giving off why the party does this and that, and everyone's putting their hand up. And he says, "But hands down," and like you can't work out where he's going until he eventually puts his hand up, keeps it up.
Yeah, it's pretty well done. I think pretty clever. So he's now in charge of organising the funeral. And this must be the day before or a couple of days before, and we see Georgy Zhukov, a gambler at the pronunciation, played by Jason Isaacs.
Hello.
Who is the head of the... Hello to Jason Isaacs.
Hello to Jason Isaacs.
He was funny.
He is the head of the Soviet army. That's a deep cut that people might not get, Brad, but I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
That was literally my note that I had before Zhukov. It was just, hello to Jason Isaacs.
I've got the same.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on, a bit like in this movie.
So he's the head of the Soviet army, and he turns up with a cracking Yorkshire accent.
He's the highlight of the trailers, if you ever watch the trailers on YouTube, and he is just he is one of probably the highlight just because of his... He carries off the attitude of sort of that army general.
Yeah.
It's that sort of laddie, as laddie as the head of the Russian army could be. But
But it's the Yorkshire accent that really sort of tips it over the top. He said it's because Yorkshiremen are the bluntest people he knows, which really does make sense for that role.
I think my favourite quote is, well, the first one he comes out of is, "What's a war hero got to do to get some lubrication round here?"
Yeah.
And then just chucks his jacket off, and he's got his suit with all the medals on and just brushes it down and walks into...
Again, in reality, the real Zhukov had more medals than that, but Iannucci was like, nice, people won't believe
That's it. You look at some of the videos from like North Korea, and you've got all these generals with like the medals go down to start on their trousers.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So he is questioning why the Red Army has been booted out of Moscow by Beria, and they have been replaced by the secret police. So we're probably the day before now. We see mourners walking past the coffin. I will say as well, Buscemi's done a real good job of organising this funeral. It looks real nice. Lots of lovely flowers, a lot of red silk.
Yeah. Him and the other organiser who he refers to as Slim Hitler.
Slim Hitler.
Also, the only other bit that made me laugh, was when they kept talking about bishops, because some of them like the bishops, some of them don't like the bishops, and calling them, someone said, you invited the boyfriends of Christ.
So I believe they were, obviously some religions were banned at times, and that was the implication was someone has unbanned and invited them and allowed them to come pay their respects to Stalin, and they couldn't work out who it was
that invited them.
Yeah, but it was Beria, but I believe Molotov ends up thinking it's Khrushchev.
Yeah.
Because he thought it was Buscemi, didn't he?
And there's that brilliant bit where all the members of the committee are kind of like a guard of honour around Stalin.
Yeah.
And Buscemi's trying to get round to talk to Beria, and he says to Malenkov, we could swap with me, we'll make it look official, so almost like a changing of the guard. And Buscemi just does this slide round and is just stood in front of Malenkov as just like, what the fuck are you doing? Just slides back. It's brilliant.
It's incredibly awkward. But brilliant.
Yeah.
So Svetlana asks Boria to... Why have I suddenly said Boria? I've spelled that weird. She asks him to bring back her power Lexia, and he's like, well, I don't know if it's possible. I'll try, but I don't know if it's possible. She's like, but you did it to Molotov's wife. I immediately thought she's probably fucked.
Yeah, I was like, how dumb is she?
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to bring Polina back. So the fact that she just assumes that he's got everyone, he clearly hasn't kept everyone.
No.
Has he?
No. Paul Whitehouse also recommends they make bombs out of pollen. And then he recommends sneezing on the bishops as they go past.
All the bishop slander.
Yeah, it's pretty good though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
sounds like a good band name though, doesn't it?
Bishop slander. I'm writing that down.
No, Boyfriends of Christ.
I'm writing it, but what? I mean, surely that's the first single, Bishop Slander.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh, they can tour with Ed Gein's Lampshade. This is my band name.
Sounds like a support act for Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Vasily bowls into a room. I think it's just a room with like regular people, like scrubs.
I think it's like committee members. I'm presuming because there were some of them were Asian that they were members of the Chinese Communist Party. Obviously been invited for Stalin's funeral.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So he's still on the drunken rampage, ranting about the machine and what they've done to Stalin's brain. And I believe he's saying the committee are sucking the cocks and balls of New York Zionist queers in petticoats.
That is a good quote.
And he's trying to get the translator to say cocks and balls. Like he's really pronouncing that. Such emphasis on cocks and balls.
Yeah, he's essentially making a scene, isn't he? He's like trying to big dog everyone there, and he's spouting a load of bollocks. So Jason Isaacs punches him.
Yeah.
And essentially tells him to behave.
Fair.
Not today, son.
Like only Zhukov could get away with it. Like even when Svetlana says, "Who did this?" and Zhukov goes like, "I did. It's about time too."
Me.
He's a bloody war hero. He can do whatever he wants. Vasily wants to do a speech to his father, but the committee are like, "No, you can't." Well, in fact, they're actually like, "No problem," and then they're like, "No problem."
It's that pause. It's
a problem. No, you can't do it. It can't be a problem. It's the English language is complicated.
It's just one of those things that Iannucci does so well, like that use of the language and the dramatic pause. It's stuff from the thick of it I could bring up in a similar way, but it's so good.
Ben?
I was just going to interject with something really stupid. I don't know when it was, but there was just a bit where, what's his name? I nearly called him Belarus because I've written Livretti. That dude. Beria. The only time he's relatable in the whole movie, because he's a dick, is he finishes having a conversation with someone and then he's like, "Oh, is there any cheese in this building?" and walks off. I'm like, that's so relatable.
This part isn't particularly relevant, but I've written it down anyway. Michael Palin says that these stairs are like walking up Kilimanjaro, and he has, of course, walked up Kilimanjaro.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, smart. Love Michael Palin.
So Beria admits to Buscemi that he is planning on releasing countless people and turning him into a hero. And Buscemi is shocked until he's told that the pianist from the beginning also taught his niece how to play, and that she left a note saying she wanted Stalin dead, and thus they are now interconnected, him and the pianist.
But he's like, "I don't know you. You don't know me. You just taught my niece stuff. Like, now we're connected and it's your fault, but I don't actually know you, dick." He's not
Yeah,
happy.
it's sort of treasonous enough to put him on a list, essentially, is what Barry is suggesting.
Yeah.
He is absolutely shooketh. As a result, Buscemi, who is rightly pissed off, goes behind Barry's back and opens the borders and restarts the trains to allow people into Moscow. He wants to do it partly so people could say goodbye to Stalin, but also because he knows it's going to put Beria in a tricky situation because it's his secret police that are protecting the borders of the city and not the Red Army.
Yeah.
So as the crowds of people start to turn up, the NKVD goons realise there's too many people. They start firing warning shots above their heads, and it just culminates in 1,500 people dead.
I'm assuming there's some truth in that.
Yeah, I think the numbers are less than what they give in the film, but something similar definitely did happen.
Still too many people.
But yeah, you obviously get given the montage of all these packed trains coming into Moscow. Everyone's got the banners, and you've got these basically boy soldiers working for the NKVD who don't know what to do because they haven't got anyone giving them orders.
Boy soldier.
They've just been told to keep people out of Moscow. And their reaction, like it says, fire in the air. The deep cut from...
Sorry, Andy's silent. Fuck, Pen. It's just amazing.
Brad was making a really nice point and you interrupted.
I'm sorry, but I hadn't sung this episode, and it will still be a nice point.
Still good. But yeah, so NKVD soldiers don't know what to do. They just go by the orders they're given, fire in the air, and then, like you say, 1,500 dead.
Yeah, it was a mess, wasn't it? It was never going to end
It's
well.
not good.
And particularly as they're not like trained for that stuff because they're not Red Army.
Exactly.
So Buscemi asks Maria if she did indeed write the note, and she's like, "Yeah, he's a dickhead. I hate him. Whatever." Buscemi's sort of in a bit of a sticky situation, so he asks Jason Isaacs about using the Red Army to solve the issue.
Yeah, so at this point, everyone has become aware about the shootings and they're kind of trying to pass the buck, and it's like, we should blame it on someone who's taken on a bit too much power.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's factionalism, whereas they're all supposed to be united. A coup's not something that would ever happen, so Zhukov's like, be careful what you're saying. And he's like, who do you want to blame?
I like that he's like, well, I'm going to have to report this, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to report this to the committee, and what you said is, I'm just taking the piss.
Look at your fucking face.
That's fantastic.
I believe the quote he said after that was about Beria was, I fucked Germany. I think I can take a flesh lump in a waistcoat.
It was, and it's one hell of a quote.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all starting to blame each other, but predominantly the finger starts pointing at Beria because he is the one with the most power. And you can see the cracks are starting to show both between the committee themselves and Beria, who, for the first time, I think in the whole film, you see something that isn't just either steely calm.
Yeah. It completely unravels.
Or rage. He just gets upset. He
shit,
has this like folder of notes that he throws at them and says, I've got all the lists. This has got his signatures here. And you can see him starting to come apart.
He basically starts listing off what each person has done, who they've ordered dead. I think he said Kaganovich ordered his brother to be killed as part of the terrors, and it's that point where he unravels at the point where he's had his little puppets here and there. I think Paul Whitehouse's character was kind of sort of on his sides. You've got Malenkov's the puppet.
Yeah.
Even Malenkov saying, well, we don't have to blame you for the shootings, but we can kind of blame some of your officers. And he's like, Beria's response is, well, by blaming them, I'm still being blamed. It's still the NKVD. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all falling apart. So the next day, we see Michael Palin and Buscemi and Kaganovich get in a car with a dog that they then start teasing with a ball, so it barks. And they're doing this so they can have a secret conversation, essentially what they can do about Beria and how they're going to get rid of him.
So it's a similar thing when Khrushchev went round to Molotov's flat and he was trying to flush the toilet to mask the conversation they're having. Yeah. And there was the gag where he tried to flush it again, but it hadn't refilled quick enough.
Yeah.
So they couldn't keep having the conversation.
Yeah, they were all worried about everything being bugged and being caught out and stuff, which is fair. I mean, it seems fucking horrible. Meanwhile, Beria tells Svetlana that Alexei is dead and she's a sad girl. She starts having a go at him about it, and he's like, well, I can't do anything. It was in the past. He tried to escape from the gulag and he got shot with 11 other people. It is what it is. I can't go back in time.
And you also have at the same point Vasily's writing his speech so it's the day of the funeral. This is all taking part in now, and Vasily's writing his speech, and it's that point where he's
listing everyone.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, all the insert each Soviet country here. We're all Cubs, Russian Cubs, Moldovan Cubs, Estonian Cubs. But I like it how he's obviously trying to get his act together for the funeral, and Beria's almost trying to make him a scene of it by tempting with alcohol while he's sober.
Yeah.
He just eventually gives in. It's that little bit of, he can't force himself not to. And then you can already tell how drunk he gets quickly when he starts talking to his guard, and he's like, I love you. Essentially.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Thank you for listening. You're such a good listener.
That's it. Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a sensible drinker.
No.
So, as you say, it's now the day of the funeral, and we see the committee carrying his coffin, and it's one of the most bougie coffins I've ever seen. Red velvet.
So fancy.
It's got a globe over the head so that you can see his face, and it's
because the idea was, and what happened was, Stalin was, like Lenin is still maintained and embalmed in his mausoleum, Stalin was put in the mausoleum initially with Lenin, and years later, when there was in Russian history something called de-Stalinization, where they kind of said, Stalin really actually killed like millions of people.
Yeah, he was a bad dude.
And then I believe he got he got removed from the mausoleum. I can't remember if it was a private plot or his bones got thrown in the river. It was one of the I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, he got removed from. But that's why he had such an overdone coffin, because of that.
Yeah, it's excessive. But as the committee are carrying them down, Buscemi is saying he's talking to Malenkov, and he's saying, come on, we need your agreement on this. And he's going, this isn't the right time. Can't talk about it now. We're literally carrying a coffin.
Yeah, it was a bit like, really?
Yes, so at the point where he's trying to get everyone on board for the coup against Beria, and Zhukov and Palin have both said, you need the whole committee on board. And he's like, well, Malenkov, I'm not sure. It's like, it's everyone or no one.
Yeah. So Malenkov essentially is like, we'll talk about it later. But as they walk past Jason Isaacs, he's like, how are we doing? And he's like, yeah, we're sorted, 100% going.
He's winging it,
He's just bullshitting, essentially. He'll deal with it on the night. So the Red Army set up a trap to kill Beria whilst the funeral procession is going on. I say trap to kill him, it's just a red light under a chair.
It's just, they were all hiding in the bathroom, waiting to take control of the room and then take out the NKVD so they can have control of Beria and do what they like.
Yeah.
It was a big red button under the table where Malenkov sat, is what they were installing, and the light was going off in the toilet.
Push that button.
Yeah, it wasn't very subtle.
No.
It's a big fucking button.
Yes.
Yeah.
The speeches go well, by the way. Vasily, as we say, talks about Russian Cubs, Georgian Cubs, Latvian Cubs, Moldovan Cubs, Estonian Cubs. He starts shouting because there's planes overhead.
The flyover, which they specifically mention earlier on that, well, we can just have the flyover happen then.
Whilst he's doing his speech.
Yeah, they specifically said we could just have the flyover happen then.
Oh, yeah.
You see all the mourners just watching the planes rather than watching Vasily do his speech, and then you see Khrushchev just kind of nudging them saying, that's about enough, don't worry.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I quite like how bitchy these dudes are.
Yeah.
Like to and about each other. It's quite funny. So, the committee chair a meeting, and there's all arguments going on about who's to blame and shit.
There's a lead up to it where they're all kind of hinting to Malenkov, like, good, you're on board. And he's like,
Sure.
Khrushchev tries to let him know, like, look, something's going to go down. And he's like, so that's why everyone's treating me like they want to fuck my sister.
Fuck my sister.
Yeah. So, essentially, he hits the button under the table. There's like a big argument. They're trying to get Beria voted out, but then they just hit the button and force Malenkov's hand to do it in front of Jason Isaacs, who stormed in. One thing I will point out, as he's arming his soldiers in the bathroom, he says, here are your dates for tonight.
Yeah.
Here are the ladies for tonight. Which one do you want? And one of them's like, I'll take the tall blonde. Just takes a big rifle out of his pocket. So they grab Beria after they've apprehended him. They remove his belt because it's harder to run away with your trousers around your ankles. And they tell the Red Army to arrest and /or kill his staff.
So
essentially removing power from the secret police.
Yeah, so the NKVD who were on guard at the Kremlin, they swapped guard. A few NKVD officers walk in while the coup's happening, and they basically send a few army officers off to just shoot them in the head.
Mm-hmm. So they march Beria through the building, take him to this old barn place, and they put him in a chair. He's all tied up, essentially, and they read him his crimes.
Bit of a kangaroo court, essentially.
Yeah.
It is a kangaroo court, yeah. They read him the crimes of treason and anti-Soviet behaviour, 357 counts of rape, and sexual misconduct with someone as young as 7 years old.
I believe they start reading some of the names of these girls, and it's like X
9,
14,
7,
X
10.
15. Yeah,
it's not pleasant.
No.
Nope.
They get him back on his feet. They start to walk him outside, and then they just shoot him in the head, and it goes incredibly quiet. Considering there's all yelling and stuff beforehand, it just goes deathly silent the second he's been shot.
So there's something interesting that I kind of noted. It's only the second time I watched it as part of this for the podcast. It's very interesting when so there's a lot of obviously people getting shot in the film, but I'd say there's maybe 6 occasions people getting shot. Only 3 of them you see the person who gets shot when it happens. So there's a real intent with the way they filmed this to make this one seem the more personal one, the one you're supposed to care about the most and feel the most involved in, because you followed Beria through this whole film. You've seen how evil he is. Because there's the 3 that I took note of. When the NKVD raid the Dacha, as the doctors are being taken away on a transport, as they're moving further and further away, one of the NKVD soldiers is giving out orders to get shot in the head, but you're far away. They're being taken further away from that situation. And there was another one when the soldiers are shooting the mourners trying to get into Moscow. Again, you're not seeing it up close. You know, these mourners are running away, getting shot. Beria's is the only one you see really. In other shootings, like you'll see a shot happen, like in the Gulag. Yeah,
but you won't see the actual impact. You'll just see them.
It's the camera cuts. It cuts away at the point of the shot. It cuts back again to the wall where a person was a second ago, and there's just a splat of blood.
Yeah.
And I think that's done intentionally to, I don't know if it's make these killings less personal, but you're meant to feel the impact of Beria's more, because you see the impact in the back of his head where the bullets come out. The back of his head's a complete mess. You've seen this right up close personal, and it happens just like that. I feel that's done intentionally to make you feel more invested in Beria getting his just desserts at the end of the film.
Yeah. Well, and I would agree. I would also say it's probably a reflection on who the other people were. They were kind of just anonymous faces.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, as far as like the Soviet committee cared about, they were just names and numbers.
From their point of view, and as you as the viewer, like the people you're caring about are the committee at the start for the most part of the movie. You live the movie through them. And Beria is the person who gets the most screen time in that. And you see his actions and how they impact the film more than anyone else. Therefore, his death kind of means more to the viewer. Therefore, you're seeing it up close and personal, how he's just shot straight in the head from that point blank range, and the camera is up close to it as well.
It's a close up shot. I think because it goes absolutely silent afterwards for about 4 or 5 seconds, I think that's also like a reflection on like the noise of everything that's going on to then nothing. Because after that, everything changes. Like we don't see it on screen, but everything changes like quietly and slowly, and nothing as extreme happens after that.
That's it. It's a cacophony of noise. Everyone's shouting at him. Beria's wailing, pleading for his life, and then they say just the shot kills everything off.
Yeah. Apart from Jason Isaac, he was like, that's done it.
Come on.
That's one way to do it.
Come on. Have a look.
You want to have a look? So they shoot him, they set him alight, they pour petrol on him, burn him. Svetlana turns up and goes, is this what you mean by no harm? And Buscemi is like, well, yeah, essentially. You can fuck off to Vienna, we don't want you here. But we need Vasily to stay because he's a liability, so we can contain him. And
so my last favourite quote is Khrushchev shouting as Beria's burning. He calls him, "You smell like rendered horse, you burning arsehole."
Yeah.
That's my last sort of favourite quote that makes me laugh.
Well, he also says that he would bury him in history, and I think that is another quote from him that happened in the 50s.
Yeah.
We then cut back to the piano concerto again. We see Maria playing, and we see our favourite hosts from Radio Moscow, and more notes across the bottom of the screen, this time saying, after Beria's execution in 1952, the Central Committee took control of the Soviet Union. In 1956, Khrushchev moved to demote other members of the party, including Molotov and Malenkov. At long last, he became head of the Soviet government and commander-in-chief until his removal in 1964 by Leonid Brezhnev.
So, yeah, in that shot, you also get shown Brezhnev behind him. So the way the camera pans in the audience of the concerto, Brezhnev sort of, as the camera's looking above left of him, and he looks down at him in a very menacing way and looks back to...
Yeah, deliberate.
Yeah. And, yeah, I guess as everything is happening in the barn and the coup is taking place, that is where you see the power balance shift from where Malenkov's been in control whilst being the puppet of Beria the whole film.
Yeah.
Khrushchev's the one who's taking control. Even when they're watching Beria's body burn, Malenkov's right at the back of the crowd. He's faded into the crowd at that point.
Yeah.
Someone says, "Can you trust Malenkov?" And someone else says, "Can you trust a weak man?"
Yes.
Which kind of sums up his character the whole film, where Beria had his hands on him.
He is just a puppet.
Yeah.
He? And that is the credits. That is 2017's The Death of Stalin. Brad, what are your thoughts?
I am incredibly biased in being... I love this film. It's the balance of what, like I said at the start, the balance of what Iannucci does in mixing the political chaos, the backstabbing, the scheming, bringing that all together in that scenario, in that time and place. I think it's great. It's the only film I've ever seen at sort of a posh theatre house. I went to the Duke of York in Brighton to see it when it initially released, because that was the only place I could find that it was showing it locally.
Yeah.
And it's a film I watch at least once or twice a year. I definitely, of the Iannucci things he's created that I've seen, I'd say it's the thick of it, followed by The Death of Stalin, and then In the Loop. And if I was putting a number on it, I'd say 9 out of 10. I love it.
So this was the first time I'd seen it. I'm not big on history. I don't really like history that much. But I think I also would have given this 9 out of 10. I am kind of gutted that I had to make such a load of notes to narrate it, because I would have liked to have watched it in more detail and pay attention to it. It's very much my sort of humour. It's quite dry in places. It's got some weird fucking lines, and I'm into that. I liked the style of it. I liked how sort of historically accurate it was generally, but still pretty fucking fun. So yeah, I really dug it. I'd have given it a decent score.
And I think if you'd enjoyed it, you'd like the thick of it. You'd like In the Loop as well, because it's that same humour, maybe not as dry or black comedy, but it's that same vein of political incompetence and chaos running through it.
Yeah. And now let's ask someone who I know didn't enjoy it. Pen, what were your thoughts?
Well, originally I was like, I didn't get anything out of this. It didn't make me laugh. It didn't make me think. I don't know if I said it to you, but I think I would have rather have watched a documentary.
You did say that,
yeah.
Imagine that.
I like a documentary though. Now you've said how much of it was kind of factual and stuff, I appreciate it slightly more, but it doesn't mean I wasn't bored shitless, I'm afraid.
I think if you were to watch it again, knowing that it's how sort of accurate it is, and knowing the sort of humour going into it,
I don't think it's my...
I think you might enjoy it more.
Didn't laugh. I didn't... Like I said, it was like a couple of bits, like I think Paul Whitehouse saying when he was talking to the pianist when Steve Buscemi, he was like, oh, but I think, that was kind of funny. But now I would not want to watch this again. I would rather go and watch a documentary about it.
I just cannot believe you think The Emperor's New Groove is funnier than this.
I mean, I'm not really comparing the two.
I genuinely feel offended.
You know me, I'm not going to give it a score because we weren't scoring guest ones. And I won't score things against other things because that doesn't work. But as an entertainment movie, I was not entertained. I'm afraid. It has made me more interested in the history of it. Like, I quite like history. Yeah. And I'm not saying a documentary would be better, because some documentaries are boring. But like a good documentary.
Yeah, it's definitely a good, for something like that where they've taken bits from the Soviet history, not all quite in the right place, not all of it 100% correct, but a lot of things that did happen, and put it into this sort of form of short form entertainment.
Yeah.
So that for someone to see it and then say, okay, I want to explore more about the history of it.
Yeah.
I think that's still something that you've got something out of it like that.
Yeah.
It's still only a good thing.
Yeah, it's a win.
And when it was like comedy satire, I was like, oh, I kind of get it, but maybe it was too subtle.
Maybe
for me then.
In compared to something like In the Loop, where it is very much, if you've seen anything of Peter Capaldi's quote along sort of style and the way he's written in The Thick of It and In the Loop, I think maybe that would be more laugh along because of it is more quotable as a TV series and In the Loop as a movie. Whereas this is, like I say, it's a bit more subtle. It's a bit more on the black comedy and the political scheming.
I don't want to be like, oh, it wasn't laugh out loud fun.
Completely,
I like a bit of subtlety and like some of the bits we pointed out, and I'm like, and it was smart, but I think I don't like, and I knew nothing about it before watching it, and I think for me it just kind of, it was too subtle to be funny and then too filmy to be a documentary.
Yeah, I get you.
Does that kind of,
100%.
it fell somewhere in the middle and it didn't really do anything.
Like I said at the start, a lot of, when you asked documentary or fiction, and I said in the middle. Yeah, so like you said, I think that's completely perfect. Perfectly summed it up.
Yeah, I think it was smart, and I think everyone in it was great. Some of my friends I've known, like, because I feel like not a lot happened.
Yeah, it very much...
I don't need it all to be bells and whistles and shit all the time.
When you work out you're still in the Datcha and it's, you're about 45 minutes into hour and 40, 50 film, then I see what you mean. It does.
I've literally put halfway through, I feel like not much has happened.
Yeah.
So,
and it doesn't. I mean, it's a wordy film. It's a bit like Clerks. It's vocab dense, but like not much actually happens, scheme of things.
Like I said, my friend Elle loved Mad Men, and I was like, would I like it? He was like, no, because nothing happens.
I think that's why he didn't like Drive, because not much happens in it until the end.
Which I don't, like I said, I don't need an action film or people to get murdered, or like I quite like Clerks. Like I like Clerks. It's talky. I don't mind talky. What did I quite like that was fucking long? I didn't mind Tarantino's one. It didn't feel as long. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Was that the last one he did that I saw?
Yeah.
Although when I got to the historical bit and he did his whole, but this bit didn't happen, I was like, oh, okay, I see what you've done here. But that didn't feel as long, and that was quite wordy. And I have no urge to watch it again, but I didn't hate that. So it's not like I can't handle a film where nothing happens. But I don't know, maybe these days I'm so busy, and with the podcast and our other podcast, I am definitely, and maybe the pandemic, I am definitely consuming more stuff all the time. Yeah. And obviously I am consuming a lot of stupid stuff where stupid things happen. So I think sometimes I'm just like, I didn't need this for...
That's fair enough.
2 hours or whatever it was. So yeah, it was fine. But yeah, it was smart, and I am interested more in the history and stuff like that. But yeah, it just wasn't for me, this one, I'm afraid. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully other people will like it too. Netflix, do me a Stalin documentary and I'll watch it. There's probably loads, but
there's probably fucking hundreds.
Yeah. My mum and dad watch the History Channel all the time, and it's full of... there's one about Hitler's... there's an advert for Hitler's secret sex life, and my mum was like, why do we need to know about it? Why can't it stay secret?
That's the shit I want to know. That's the shit that's interesting.
It's on the History Channel. So there you go.
Did he really just have the one ball? We will find out.
That's the question I need to know.
I reckon he had one, but I'm not convinced the other one was in the Albert Hall, to be honest. That's where it falls.
Did his mother cut it off? That's what I need to know.
Depends how much of a shit he was when he was a kid, I guess.
Guess you got to watch the History Channel to find out.
Oh my God, could you imagine if my mum reviewed Hitler's secret sex life?
Polnikov and Trotsky, I was a huge fan of his.
I miss the Tsar.
I'm exhausted. I can't remember who's alive and who isn't.
Georgie, when you go home, make sure your wife writes down everything you think you said tonight. All right? This way, in the morning, you know what you're dealing with. That's Khrushchev's law.
All right.
Good night, comrades. Long live the Communist Party of Lenin Stalin. Long live John Wayne and John Ford.
Goodbye, Molotov, old friend. Goodbye forever. You're on the list.
What's the socials, Penny?
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Unusual Suspects Pod, and on Twitter at Unusual Podspect. Hit me up on Twitter at Penny_photopit.
Don't hit me up at Choices21.
You can hit me up if you like at Bradstrat on Instagram and Twitter.
And that's it. We've done it.
So yeah, we did it. We've done
another episode. Next week is 52. That's a year's worth of episodes.
That's a year's worth.
Good going, comrades.
Yeah, I don't know.
6 of you have been listening to us for 52 weeks.
I reckon we've had 2 of them on the podcast. 4 of them if we include yourself and I. Yeah, next week we're at our 1 year, so we'll have...
Are we doing something special? Am I supposed to have done something?
Maybe you want to do a roundup? You want to do a roundup of things we've done over the year? Let's fucking do that.
We haven't done anything. It's the pandemic. You've worked and we've edited.
Okay, we'll have this conversation off air. But until then, thanks for listening.
Thanks,
we'll
everyone.
Catch up next week. Thanks for coming, comrades. It's been a treat.
Das Vidania.
Здравствуй. I don't know what that either means, like hello or fuck off. I can never remember, so sorry if it was rude, Russian.
That'll go down well.
But it's the only one I know.
Toodaloo.
Yeah, it's the only Russian word I know. Bye!